Tether's USDT is the largest stablecoin by market cap, standing at about $120.4 billion at the time of recording this video, which puts it in third place, just after Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it's established itself as a big player in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, providing liquidity and a bridge between traditional financial markets through the US dollar and digital assets or cryptocurrencies. However, Tether's business model, profitability, and reserve transparency have often been criticized, with many people calling Tether a scam, pointing to there being no proof of its reserves, not having had a full audit, that it's just printing USDT, has allegedly falsified documents, hid its identities, and lied about its reserves. And if Tether were to implode, it would have huge consequences for holders and the wider financial system given the size of it. But a lot of people don't actually know how Tether makes its money. So in this video, we'll be looking at this, at its reserves, and how it's navigating regulatory landscapes worldwide, notably in the US, UK, and EU. So please do like this video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to offer more content for you in future. Stick around to the end of this video to find out what services Coin Knowledge offers. Just a quick reminder that nothing contained here is financial advice, and let's jump straight in. So firstly, how does Tether make so much money? Well, a big concern with Tether's USDT is that if you were using a traditional bank, let's say, then you'd expect some interest back if you were depositing your funds with that institution, with the bank normally investing your funds elsewhere and then paying you a percentage of this back as interest, generally speaking. And there is large demand for the equivalent of dollars on the blockchain. So Tether profits from this demand by taking deposits for USDT, charging a fee for this, and instead of directly paying some interest on it back, it pretty much issues USDT, keeps these funds and the transaction fee, and invests them for the company. With you being able to earn interest on USDT on exchanges, for example, but they obviously make their money as well. And remember, one USDT is supposed to be equivalent to $1 US. So investors aren't taking advantage of the asset's price growth either. So what does Tether do with these funds, and how does it make its money? Well, there are a few ways, including earning interest on its reserves by investing these that back its issued USDT tokens, as I've just mentioned. Secondly, Tether earns revenue through transaction fees and redemption fees, particularly for large-scale clients, again that I touched on. So when clients redeem USDT for fiat currency, Tether charges a fee, adding a layer of profit on top of its interest income. And although these fees are likely to be small for individual transactions, they accumulate into substantial earnings given Tether's extensive global usage. And thirdly, Tether earns from strategic investments and lending that it conducts, which we'll see soon when we look at Tether's reserves, because it actually lends a lot to the United States. And to put Tether's profits into perspective, it generated a huge $5.2 billion in profit in the first half of 2024, which is more than BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. Because we can take this back to Q4 of 2022 to compare, with Tether reporting $12.72 billion in net profit in that time period, compared to BlackRock's $9.83 billion. And the key to Tether's profitability is in its efficiency, because it has much lower operational costs and basically no obligation to meet traditional banking regulations, as I mentioned previously. Tether is also taking advantage of its size by branching out into different areas, for example in the commodities market, with its stablecoin USDT possibly providing an alternative to traditional banking channels. For example, when two large Russian metal manufacturers used USDT to pay for cross-border transactions, and when Venezuela's state-owned oil company, PDVSA, accepted USDT payments for oil shipments. But this obviously causes a large amount of controversy with countries such as the United States, for example, and we'll look at regulation a bit later in this video. Because let's firstly take a look at Tether's reserves. with the transparency of these being a controversial topic for many years now. But with Tether and its CEO, Paolo Ardoino, apparently trying to address this by providing more detail on its asset allocation, as we'll take a look at. Because firstly, Tether has partnered with the global accounting firm BDO to conduct quarterly attestations for it, which are independent reviews of a company's financial statements by a certified public accountant or CPA. And BDO in this case delivers a report with its conclusions about the reliability of the data to try to address concerns about the transparency of Tether's reserves. An attestation isn't a full audit though, because it's a snapshot of Tether's assets and liabilities at specific points in time, rather than continuous audits that verify reserve levels across all time periods. So some people are demanding full audits of Tether, given the size of it and concerns many people have about it, with Tether stating that the lack of established audit frameworks for digital assets complicates this process. And the CEO of Tether, Paolo Ardoino, has stated that he wants to partner with one of the big four accountancy firms to conduct a proper audit of the company, but that they have refused because they're worried about their reputation and don't want to take that risk. However, we can take a look at what BDO states it carries out for these attestations of Tether, which include many procedures, such as checking the actual existence of assets, comparing financial reporting to the previous quarter, receiving direct confirmation from banks and depositories to confirm funds that are held and are invested, analysing loan contracts, etc. And in the latest report for Q3 of 2024, for the 30th of September, which has only just been published and which I will include a link to in the description should you want to check this out for yourself, BDO state that, in their opinion, the financial figures and reserves in Tether's report, that we'll take a look at next by the way, but that this was, in all material respects, fairly presented in accordance with the criteria, including management's key accounting policies. Tether, in this report, state that assets outweigh liabilities in all of its entities, with equity growing since the end of 2023. And equity is also up from the previous quarter of 2024. And you can see here the breakdown of Tether's stated reserves as of the end of September 2024 to see the huge scale of this, with it holding over $84.5 billion worth of short-term US Treasury bills, which, if you remember, is US debt. So Tether is basically lending the United States this huge amount and receiving interest in return, which relates back to the beginning of this video when we looked at how Tether makes its money. Well, here is how. Because if you're getting, even if we say about 4% back on the US Treasuries to be conservative, and because it's easier to work out, but that is still $3.38 billion that Tether is receiving on the $84.5 billion worth of US Treasuries that it's purchased. And you can also see the large amount of US dollars placed by Tether in the US reverse repo facility and money market funds, with Tether holding $4.78 billion worth of Bitcoin, interestingly, with this obviously fluctuating depending on the price of BTC. But with this figure here, taken when BTC was at $63,473, and Tether holds a bit less in precious metals, which in this case is gold. But there are concerns about Tether's solvency should a financial crisis ensue, with questions about Tether's ability to redeem USDT fully, especially given the relatively low amount of cash held compared to other assets, which you can see here is $78.4 million. And Tether's holdings of US Treasuries, by the way, puts this just outside the top 20 largest holders of US debt, very close to the holdings of Germany and Mexico, who are in 19th and 20th, with Tether actually saying that it surpassed Germany's holdings a few months ago, so it will be interesting to check this out again moving forward. And finally in this video, if we now look at how Tether is faring with the different and complex regulations around the world, and notably in the United States, UK and EU, it's obvious to see that although Tether holds a large amount of US Treasuries, it continues to face large scrutiny from US regulators. Recent statements from Tether's CEO, Paolo Ardoino, suggest a large sense of tension and anxiety, with him saying that US regulators have the power to simply press a button and impact Tether's operations significantly, and that Tether is doing the best it can to crack down on illicit crypto use, which he does point out is a drop in the ocean compared to the illicit use of the US dollar. But Tether's relationship with the US market remains delicate, as it faces both regulatory investigations and the potential for stricter oversight, with there being 3 court cases underway in New York that Tether confirmed in its recent report. The first of which relate to the drop in price of Bitcoin in 2017 and 2018, so it could be accused of market manipulation here, which it certainly has elsewhere. The second case arises from the Celsius bankruptcy, and the third relates to a dispute between 2 parties regarding USDT held in a non-Tether controlled wallet, with there allegedly being another investigation by the US Department of Justice into possible violations of sanctions and anti-money laundering or AML rules, with the CEO of Tether saying that he hasn't seen anything about this. But it's not just in the US that Tether is encountering difficulties, because the EU's Markets in Crypto Assets, or MiCA regulation, has come into force in the EU, with new standards for stablecoins requiring transparency, reserve disclosures, and regular attestations. And I did a video on the MiCA regulations back in May that I'll include a link to here and in the description should you want to check this out. But Tether is needing to make adjustments to comply with these standards if it wants USDT to continue to be offered in the EU, with Coinbase planning to delist stablecoins that don't conform to these new MiCA regulations in December, which has led to Tether frantically trying to comply, because it's not just Coinbase, with other exchanges such as Uphold and OKX also doing this so they comply themselves. And finally, let's look at Tether in the United Kingdom, because unlike in the US and EU, in a significant recent UK High Court ruling, Tether has been recognised as property, granting it a clearer legal status in the country, which could be an advantage for it and lead to more widespread institutional adoption and financial partnerships. Although the proposed UK stablecoin regulation that was due to come in, but that was postponed due to the general election, could obviously change things if this is put in place. And I did cover these new property rights for crypto in the UK in a video in September that I'll include a link to here and in the description for you to check out. But that ends this video, and as always, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below about it. There have been many criticisms of Tether, a lot of which I've touched on in this video. But what are your thoughts having watched the video? Is it a stablecoin that can and should be used? Or if not, which alternative would you suggest? Just a reminder that if you're interested in more of a tailored approach to your crypto education, and you think you'd benefit from having someone look over your shoulder and guide you on your journey, I do offer one-to-one coaching to those who have the desire and the means to educate themselves further. And there are links in the description where you can message me and book in a free video call to see if we'd be a good fit. You can also sign up for a free account with Coinly using the link in the description to this video, which is one of the best automated crypto tax platforms out there. If you're looking for more specific crypto tax advice based on your personal circumstances, I've partnered with a leading crypto tax company in Myna, which is part of the company Nephos, that offers other services such as wealth management, restructuring, offshoring, etc. But I'll leave a link to contact them directly in the description to this video. And finally, I've included a link to Trezor's website in the description for anyone looking for one of the best hardware wallets or cold storage out there, with 2 new models released recently in the Trezor Safe 3 and Trezor Safe 5. And if you found this content interesting, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help. And have a great day.